What makes or breaks a superhero on screen is more often than not how the actor portraying them, well, portrays them. So today, I'm here to give you my top 10 superhero portrayals in film. Also, there's a 90% chance that you'll disagree with at least one thing on this list, so just know that going into this. This is my list, not yours. Also, as far as movies go, I'm a total Marvel fanboy. I've tried to suppress my fanboyism for this, but before you leave a comment telling me what a fanboy I am, just know, yeah, I am. Keeping that in mind, let's begin. Number 10. Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I need his prosthetic leg.
His leg?
Yeah. God knows I don't need the rest of him. Look at him, he's useless.
Guardians is so far my favorite film of the year. You can check out my review of the movie by clicking here. And Rocket Raccoon is a big part of what makes the movie. It's sort of ironic that someone on this list does not even appear in the movie in the flesh, but this being based on personality, Bradley Cooper nails the sarcastic and witty dialogue delivered by Rocket.
Well, supposedly these bald bodies find you attractive, so maybe you can work out some sort of trade.
You must be joking.
No, I really heard they find you attractive.
Number 9. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alright, I know he isn't technically a superhero, but I'm counting him on this list, so deal with it. I can't imagine any other person to play Nick Fury, especially if based on the Ultimate version, than Samuel L. Jackson. Shh, David Hasselhoff never happened, just forget about that. Also, this is a rare case where you can tell that the character was based on the actor they eventually got to play him. It is even stated by the character himself in the comics that if an Avengers movie were ever made, he would be portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson. Just a case of perfect casting. Number 8. Chris Hemsworth as Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When reading the comics, Thor never stood out to me as the cool one, or the interesting one, or really anything. Yeah, sorry to all the Thor fans out there, but he just seemed so unrelatable that I didn't really care about him. But when he was played by Chris Hemsworth, he sure took a step to being much cooler than I ever thought. Hemsworth somehow pulls off starting as a spoiled brat and ending up as a humble god worthy of the crown of Asgard. Also, am I the only one who thinks that it's strange that Scandinavian gods have British or Australian accents?
Jane, I fought to protect you from the dangers of my world, but...
rather than, oh, I don't know, Scandinavian ones? Number 7. Chris Evans as Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Another Chris from Marvel, Chris Evans is the perfect fit to play the Star-Spangled Hero. He manages to be a big, muscular guy who can jump out of elevators. And also remain the idealistic dude he was pre-Super Soldier Serum. You can tell that these two, while looking different, are one and the same person, mainly from Evans' performance. Number 6. Patrick Stewart as Professor X in the X-Men franchise. I didn't know whether to put Patrick Stewart here or James McAvoy's more wounded and relatable version. However, I went with Stewart because I've read comics about old Xavier, but I know nothing about young Xavier. Anyway, more to the point, Patrick Stewart is by far the best choice for this role. Hey, filmmakers, if you want an old, bald man who can sound incredibly wise, even if he was talking about the stupidest things, then Patrick Stewart is the man for you. And in the X-Men movies, he never says anything short of Dumbledore-level wisdom.
As I told you a long time ago, you're not the only one with gifts.
Number 5. Christopher Reeve as Superman in the early Superman franchise. Alright, here's where it gets a bit controversial. Christopher Reeve's Superman usually tops everyone's lists of superhero actors. I just don't think he's as good as the next 4 people on this list. That being said, Christopher Reeve does still do a great job of portraying Superman as the very kind and full of morals kind of guy that he is, while also being the dorky Clark Kent. Watching him as the Man of Steel is a joy. Number 4. Christian Bale as Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy.
I'm Batman.
Now, I know the Dark Knight trilogy is targeted more at adults than people my age, but I love these movies. Well, I love two, and I think the third is meh. Good, I suppose. But my opinions on The Dark Knight Rises are for another time. Christian Bale is definitely the best Batman. I mean, Michael Keaton is pretty good, but I have to give Christian Bale more props for a few reasons. The main one being, he basically has to play three people. He has to play Batman the Vigilante, he has to play the really clever and tough Bruce Wayne, and then he also has to play the playboy billionaire image that Bruce Wayne puts on so that people don't assume he's Batman. And Bale nails all of them. Number 3. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous, I don't paint.
Speaking of playboy billionaires, now we return to Marvel. This was in many ways Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback after some personal issues. And if it failed, well then, he was pretty much doomed as an actor. But oh boy, it just did not fail. It was amazing. Robert Downey Jr. pulls off Tony Stark so well, especially in the original Iron Man. In a slightly similar vein as Thor, he starts off as this careless billionaire weapons dealer, and then, after a run-in with some terrorists, changes his ways and becomes the man who wants to protect the people he put in harm's way. Downey Jr.'s performance is the best part of the entire Iron Man trilogy in my opinion, and I can't wait to see his snarky attitude go up against Captain America in Civil War.
If I lift it, do I get to rule Asgard?
Yes, of course.
I will be fair but firmly cruel. Be right back.
Number 2. Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man in the new Spider-Man franchise. Now, let me explain. I thought The Amazing Spider-Man was pretty good. I'm one of the only people I know who actually liked it. As for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, no. I really did not like it. But one thing I think is great about this new franchise is Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Spider-Man, especially compared to that of Tobey Maguire. Now, don't get me wrong, Maguire does a good job, and I like Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 more than the new Amazing ones. But he just isn't very Spider-Man-like. Spider-Man is always wisecracking and making fun of the villains when he's fighting them, and that's exactly what Garfield does.
Oh, come on.
Also, with Maguire, I couldn't really tell that he's a genius, because Peter Parker is one. But Andrew Garfield definitely appears as someone who could design web shooters. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the Raimi movies. I love, 2 out of 3 of them. I just think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is way more Spider-Man-y. Number 1. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the X-Men franchise.
How did you know there's a pool down there?
I didn't.
Yeah, I'm more or less a huge Wolverine fan, and Hugh Jackman is like 80% of why.
Yeah, what happened to the school?
Are you a parent?
Sure as hell hope not.
Apparently back in 2000 when X-Men was coming out, people thought Hugh Jackman was going to suck. Guess he proved them wrong. He manages to be really tough and gritty and all like, I'm the best at what I do, and what I do isn't very nice. But he also has a more human side that is really seen in that movie that, you know, it wasn't amazing, but it was still pretty good. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all kinds of videos I make, just like the one you just watched. What's your favorite superhero portrayal? Be sure to tell me in the comments below. See you next time.